What's up guys, Old Painless here, and today we are looking at Generation Toy's newest figure and third entry into their Gravity Builder line. This time we have Navvy, or Navvy, which is their rendition of Scavenger. So first things first, let's take a quick look at the packaging. We had this really nice box art here, which is similar to the previous two efforts, but we have a nice painted figure. Along the front, a nice silver foiled sort of border along there as well. The artwork continues on to the bottom, and then sort of that Gravity Builder line art on the back as well. But pretty nice stuff overall. And then just to look at the accessories that come included, we get a baggie with a little gray piece of plastic, which I'm assuming this is actually a replacement handle for the Mixmaster gun, which was way too short. So a nice little addition. They listened to feedback from the fans, and they did revise and provide a new handle for their second figure. We also do get a replacement head. Now you can see this is actually the original head. This comes included or installed on the figure. That's kind of their own interpretation. And I've already swapped them out, obviously, but we get a replacement head with the light piping plastic back piece, and then we also get a replacement screw for the new head. We do get the instruction guide, that same glossy finish to it with the artwork on the front, same box art on the back, and pretty detailed, straightforward instructions. Really nothing too extravagant here, but it does get you from alt mode to robot, and then also into the Gravity Builder arm mode, so pretty nice. Alright, and with the box art and accessories out of the way, we can take a look at Scavenger here. I'm going to call him Scavenger, because Navy or Navvy sounds kind of weird. But yeah, it's an excavator, very much in line with the first two releases from Generation Toy in terms of look and aesthetics. But it's pretty nice. Pretty good color breakup, lots of greens, purples, black for the treads. So if you're a G1 purist, this is again going to be a deviation from that G1 look. But I think it's a nice compromise because you have the purple framed by the black, which looks good to me. And then you do have some of the nice little detailing, like the yellow and black striping along the legs and silver accents, and some nice sculpted detail along the treads there. The treads do have wheels on the bottom, which is nice. We do have rubber tires here in the back for this little generator piece, which we'll talk about in a bit. But the overall piece looks pretty good. Pretty solid paint breakup. The green looks nice. We have some silver sort of paneling and stuff going along the back here with that deeper gray finishing for the grating and stuff right there as well. Looks pretty good. The head is visible on the back, which is kind of an eyesore in my opinion. Not too big of a fan of that, especially with the green, or not green, but the orange plastic being visible there. But again, some nice detailing and paint breakup on the shoulders there. And then obviously the clear plastic windows look pretty good as well. The articulated excavator arm here, which does get you a full 360 rotation. Nice clicking ratchets there as well, so that's pretty nice. And then we do have 3 points of articulation for the arm, so at the base, up top here, and the scoop. So you get quite a bit of movement with this arm here. We do get functioning pistons on all 3 points too, which is pretty nice, although this one looks like it wants to pop out. But a nice little touch right there. The excavator claw has that same yellow and black striping there too, which is nice. And then you do get some additional paint apps along the top side of the arm, sort of some faux or fake pistons kind of sculpted and painted in there. Some nice detailing along the outside of the arm, but no paint. I think some paint would have been nice to go along there as well, but it is what it is. But overall, pretty simplistic. It's a decent looking vehicle mode. Not really a fan of this design right here. You do have sort of the crotch plate visible in the front, and not the cleanest looking front with the sort of hips exposed there as well. And then this gray plastic piece. It does provide some color breakup, but again, it kind of just feels like a piece of kibble, you know, standing up right there. So, not the most elegant design, but it's functional. It still looks pretty good, I think. You know, these feel a little bit more like nitpicks to me more than anything. One detractor for me, though, is that this cabin really cannot rotate. The rotational joint is not the waist. The waist is actually located right here. And the rotational point is actually a cut along the torso right here. So this, because of the way the cut is located halfway up the torso, the arms actually obstruct and bump into the lower part here. So you really can't rotate this top portion at all. You can detach this piece here, this generator, and detach the arms and lift them up, and then you can rotate the torso to have it back this way instead. I mean, that's totally doable, but you're not going to be able to have like a rotating top portion to play around with as you mess around with the figure. So it's something that you have to kind of break the figure apart, sort of mistransform it to kind of realign the top part as you want to. Kind of a nitpick, I guess, but it does kind of cut back on that playability aspect, and which is why I think they actually included this ratcheted joint rotational point here to kind of compensate for it. And just for comparison's sake, here is Scavenger or Navvy with his other two GenerationToy Gravity Builder compadres. So, I mean, as a cohesive team, these guys look freaking sick. You know, the greens match up across the boards, the purples, the silver, the black, the dark gray, you know, all the universal striping and whatnot. I mean, these all just look really good together. Definitely a big fan of how this set's turning out. So just to show this off, this portion is detachable. What you really need to do is just get the silver pieces unhinged from each other and rotate these around. Just like that. And then what you can do is detach the arms from the treads. They just kind of peg in. Just to lift these up to give you clearance. And then you may also have to detach the treads as well. So you can see you're basically sort of exploding the piece here to pull this off. But basically it's on a lock joint, where you have to have it 90 degrees tilted this way, and then it just spins like that to lock into place. But that part is detachable. And now we can look at this piece here, which is kind of like a little generator, little clever design that we saw from Make Toys Giant. You know, they definitely reproduced it right here in larger scale. So rubber wheels, they spin very well. Has that same striping pattern up on top. Some nice gray accents, silver wheels and whatnot. Pretty decent sculpt. But the nice thing about this is that you can split it along the bottom, and that reveals missiles which can pop off, and you can relocate them on the outside for the combiner mode. And then we also do get the combiner hand, which is really nice. Fully articulated. I'll be showing this off more in the combined mode, but you do get some options and playability here, including missiles that pop out on the back of the wrist. Some nice silver and gray, well, silver paint on gray plastic for that right there as well. Yeah, this piece here actually rotates and functions as the elbow joint for the combined mode, but you get some nice orange clear plastic with silver paint along there, so that kind of looks like a rocket thruster. And you can use that as sort of a backpack for the robot mode. But that's what the generator gives you right here. Some decent engineering and some clever ideas to make parts forming functional, which I kind of dig. So here we have Scavenger with the back portion detached, and so you can see he still looks like a pretty solid construction excavating vehicle here, which I dig. It does create a lot of gappage on the back though, so this doesn't bother me too much, but it does emphasize that these are just panels, kind of creating the illusion of a solid piece of equipment. You know, there's a big chunk missing right there. You know, whether that bothers you or not, yeah, I guess that's up to you. Not too bad for me, but quite honestly, I'll be more than likely just attaching the generator piece on the back there when I want to display him in alt mode. Alright, and just because the transformation is so similar on the arm versus the vehicle here, I just went ahead and got this guy transformed into his combiner mode. And you basically just have to swivel this portion backwards and then attach this generator part again to the unit to create the forearm. One thing I did like is, if you notice, this is how the generator would normally sit. So after having it attached, what you end up doing is you have this unit pulled out, and you get kind of that unique Toys Orden elbow design where it has an extendable portion here to give you some more arm length. And that actually gives you the clearance here, so you can now utilize this elbow bend and get a 90-degree elbow. Actually, even more if you have it angled out like that. And it's kind of cool too, because then you get these that orange plastic visible right there, which gives you that rocket thruster look on the underside of the elbow. But yeah, that's a big combiner arm. Not nearly as big as the Toy World version coming out, but I mean, this is basically the same size that you see on a Warbitron figure, so nice beefy Devastator arm. I like it quite a bit. But now that we've seen this in combiner mode, and as well as alt mode, let's go ahead and get this sucker transformed into his robot. We'll see how well or not that form shapes up. And there we have Scavenger, or Navvy, in robot mode. And I gotta tell you, this is a pretty nice looking rendition of Scavenger. Great paint across the board and great color breakup. You know, we have that same green, throughout the entire upper body, broken up by that deeper gray and nice silver paint through the chest right there, which is a trademark sort of embellishment of the Scavenger character. We do even have some gold metallic paint painted here as well on some sort of piping, which looks great. The arms are pretty nice. There is some subtle detailing along the shoulder here, and this actually gets you a nice smooth ratchet all the way around. Some decent extension, although the shoulder detailing here is going to give you a little bit of an obstruction once they start bumping into the head sculpt right there. You have an upper bicep swivel, and you do get double jointed elbows here. So this arm gets you quite a bit of motion. This one's going to be obstructed because of this section here. So you get just a tad over 90 degrees on this guy, more than 90 on this one here. This panel actually can pop off, which kind of gets you that matching shoulder detail on both sides, although you get some ugly pegs there as a result. You still don't get too much more than a 90-degree elbow bend, though, with that piece removed. One thing I didn't really point out is there's actually some nice orange paint there on the on that little canopy portion. So yeah, some nice painted detailing that I missed out initially. These arm detailings are pretty nice looking. I do like that silver paint and that deeper gray there as well. My only problem with these is that they don't really tab into place or lock as well as I'd like them to. In fact, they don't tab in at all. So they do rotate up and pop up like this, but there really is no physical tab. You'd think there would be one here, but it doesn't actually lock into place, so that's a little unfortunate. I would have liked for this type of kibble, which does clean up nicely, it just doesn't secure as well as I'd like to. The head's on a ball joint, so you get plenty of motion right there, up and down, left and right, in a full 360 spin. You do get this upper cut here, so you get an upper body rotation, which is really cool for super dynamic poses, but it does break up the sculpt a heck of a lot, so I won't be using that too much, but I will be using this monstrous frickin' ab crunch. I mean, how cool is that ab crunch? So yeah, big fan of that. That's well thought out, well done. And then we do get a ratcheted waist for the swivel. The hips are on ball joints, so you do get some fair amount of motion with these. These actually stay pegged together fairly well, but you do get outward motion. The cut of the hip is a little bit limited, so you only get about that much for a forward kick, about that much for a backward, so not too bad though. And then you do have 2 points of rotation on the upper leg, above and below this panel line here. And the knees are actually kind of neat, so they do get you a full, actually more than 90-degree bend. There's a nice kind of curved, sculpted detail that once you get past 90 degrees, there's an additional dark plastic piece on the inside that pops out. So I like that quite a bit. The curvedness is a little off-putting. It's kind of an odd design element for, usually an angular robot, but it works surprisingly well. So the ankles actually rotate, which is great, and the toes actually get you a ton of articulation. Left, right, spinning, whatever you want. And then this portion here, this little silver disc, can rotate along with the toe, so tons of foot articulation on this figure. And the heels rotate as well along that sort of gray disc right there. And as someone, I believe it was Hoffman, on the TFW boards pointed out, this really isn't demonstrated in the instructions very well, but this little gray plastic piece, which normally sits inside the heel, does actually rotate out, and it tabs in to the back of that, to the back of the foot right there, which kind of gives you a much firmer ankle spur right there, or foot spur right there. So, very good thinking, very well designed, big fan of that. And just for a close-up of the head, that is the replacement sculpt that they provided, which looks much more accurate to the G1 Scavenger, and I like it quite a bit. And it also provides a fair amount of light piping as well. And just to show off the original head that comes pre-installed, again, a much more sort of unique approach or unique take on the Scavenger head. And then for his gun, which we saw before stored on the underside of the vehicle, these two pieces are separate. They detach from the side via a little peg, and then they just plug in right here. Yeah, so he can hold his weapon like a champ. Looks very good. And then while we have him here in profile, we can see sort of that back kibble that's going on. And I think it works pretty well. I mean, obviously, there's only so much you can do with an excavating arm like this. It's a massive piece of kibble. There aren't really too many ways you can kind of get around this without physically detaching it and using it as some sort of weapon. So, for me, I like their take on this. It still feels pretty clean on the back for the most part. By the way, this little piece can rotate down. So, not too bad. It's not that obtrusive, I don't think. I think it actually looks pretty good in profile. And then alternatively, you can attach that combiner forearm as a backpack here, which actually works pretty well. I mean, it is pretty large, but we're already dealing with a rather large bit of kibble anyway. So yeah, I mean, I think it looks decent enough. You do get some kind of nice elements, again, like those little rocket thrusters right here on the base with that clear plastic. But yeah, it looks decent enough. And then from a head-on shot, again, you can kind of see it here. Those wings do pop out a little bit, but I think overall it actually looks pretty nice. And you can tell, too, there's a lot of backpack and weight going on right here. these heel spurs work like a champ. I mean, they really keep this guy stable as he kind of wobbles on me. But, you know, with that little locking mechanism for the heel, these really keep a pretty firm grip on the ground right there. So, very nice. Alright, and just to show off the first 3 figures from Generation Toys together, here we go. I think he looks great, you know, with Scavenger and Mixmaster here. I think this is really shaping up to be a nice, cohesive team. You know, from design, aesthetics, color choices, everything. I think Generation Toys is really firing in all cylinders here. And here he is with Apollyon and Quake Blast. And, yeah, I think on a shelf these look pretty damn good together. Aesthetically a bit off masterpiece-wise and maybe a tad small to scale, but, you know, for me, this could still work too. So final thoughts on Navvy, aka Scavenger. You know, the first 2 figures have been pretty successful. You know, I know Scraper was very well received. Mixmaster had maybe mixed results or like a lukewarm reception. If you had any concerns about this, you know, Mixmaster, I think Navvy gets you right back in line with the first release. Aesthetically speaking, they did a lot right. Very much feels like a Scavenger, you know, looking at him in person. I think that really translates well too. The sculpting is fantastic. The color breakup, again, is very nice. I love the new head sculpt, the little revision they made to get it more G1 accurate. You know, my only complaints are going to be just the silver flaps on the sides feel a little bit underthought or under-engineered. I wish they would have tapped into place. And the only other detraction I can really think of is that I wish the cab could actually rotate in alt mode. But that seems to be, well, obviously it's not possible, but that would have been a nice little addition. But at least they gave you the rotating arm up top via the other joint up there. But with that being said, I think Generation Toys is, in my opinion, 3 for 3. This is another great addition to the line. Very much excited for their Bulldozer coming out end of the month. We'll definitely be doing a review for that figure as well. But I think Navvy or Scavenger definitely is worthy of a shelf for you. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. Should have some new stuff up shortly, like my Quake Blast review. Hopefully I'll record that soon as well. But yeah, have a great day. Thanks for watching.